All right, y'all, welcome back to Really Good Soup, and we're back with another chapter, the God Valley incident. We're finally getting into it. Really quick, if you guys have been liking these manga recaps slash reviews, please leave me a like or a subscribe or a share, possibly, because, I could talk about One Piece forever, man. But yeah, let's get into the chapter. So yeah, we're back with, episode 700 of the Yamato story. Now she's just looking over Wano, and it's nice to see Oda redraw Wano, because that is one of drawing of Wano, like right at the beginning of the arc. I'm pretty sure that is one of his favorite like panels that he's ever drawn. But yeah, I don't know what's left for Yamato now. But anyway, so yeah, we start off the flashback. We've got that reveal of the Davy clan last time. And one interesting thing that one of the Celestials points out here is, or he speculates at least, that, hey, you're all just more buccaneers, aren't you? So is that to say that the Davy clan are also buccaneers? And, one of them, if we see at the very bottom right, wearing a straw hat and he appears to be larger than the average human. So I don't know if that's supposed to be teasing that little straw hat that's up, or not little, that big ass straw hat that's in Marie-Joie. I don't know. It seems a little bit uncanny, But we also see a young Teach just getting freaking traumatized by the Celestial Dragons. I mean, look at that face, dude. Yeah, this is we have seen before Oda draw all of the old Whitebeard pirates and all of them as kids, and we saw Blackbeard specifically as being a really sad crying child, and we knew that the sad backstory was coming, but damn, dude, was not entirely obviously over the past couple chapters I was expecting this, but for Blackbeard to have been involved on God Valley back during chapter 1096. Yeah, I probably would not have expected that. And speaking of 1096, that was when we originally saw the first glimpses of the God Valley incident. We're going to be referencing that chapter a little bit more, actually a lot more in this video, because we have some interesting lineups with the dialogue. But before that, we have a shot of Saturn chatting it up with Garling, and originally, I had thought, the discovering that Garling had made was something scientific, and maybe that's why Saturn was there. But we now know, the discovery that Garling was made was members of the Davy clan. But what the fuck is Saturn doing there? Is he there to really oversee the competition, or oversee the Buccaneers or whatever? Why him specifically versus Mars or Nostro? But I don't know, man. It seems suspicious that Saturn is there for some reason, because the Gorosei in general also rarely ever make landfall. That's what Saturn said the first time he made landfall on Egghead. So why would he be here? But yeah, moving on, we cut back to Dragon, who is now taking Shamrock and Shanks to hopefully end up with somebody that isn't Garling, even though we know one of them does. But we get to see in the next couple panels one of my favorite parts of this chapter. We see a glimpse into Dragon's moral philosophy, and he says, I don't know who you are, but I want to save your kids. And if that's not something I can do, then I have no reason being here. I'm going to collapse under the weight of it all. But that's the kind of thing that we want to see, in Marines. Hey, I don't know who you are, but I want to save you. I want to protect you from harm's way, not whatever the fuck is happening here. But then we cut back to something that was referenced back in chapter 1096, that the announcer, Celestial Dragon, he's saying that we've introduced 13 super rare rabbits. Now we know that those 13 super rare rabbits, they include Kuma, they include Teach, and they include members of the Davy clan, or just another set of mystery characters that we have not seen yet. But like 13 super rare rabbits, like you could plug in a couple mystery characters that like we don't know too much about. Like yeah, it could be like members of another distinct race. And then the competition starts. The civilians, they're running for their lives. The celestial dragons, they're being the classic celestial dragons. They're just going around shooting willy-nilly. Classic celestial dragon stuff. We cut to Marijua back in the Holy Land, where a bunch of the celestial dragons back home, they're viewing the competition being live streamed to them. We have a comment from one of the world nobles that I found a bit interesting. So the first thing, and now that I'm looking at it, it is a conversation between two celestial dragons. The first thing is that this competition has a family competition, like a sub competition, and then an individual race, which might just be between straight up just the God Snipes members. But the second thing that he says in referring to Gunko is that Gunko is still just the knighthood's pet devoted blade of God, which in the TCB translations, they also translated to God's steel. Now, I don't entirely know what that dynamic means in the context of the Holy Knights, but if I were to guess, that probably means like she's the, avatar for Emu, the devoted blade of God. Like, I assume that means like you're just willingly going to let Emu take over you whenever you want. Gunko, back in the day, she still has her devil fruit powers, and she's like hacking away at the civilians. We cut to Shaki, who's been chained up in a cell and just having random world nobles and possibly other Marines just like gawking her while they claim like how jealous they are of Garling, that he's gonna make her his wife. And then we cut to Summers, who we also see has his devil fruit as he tries to, shake a tree to bring a child down into his like little thorn patch. And then we see a father run to his rescue, only for both of them to end up in the thorn patch anyway. So it's gonna be very satisfying to see Summers get taken down. I'm just gonna say that. The next couple panels, we see more of a dragon coming to terms with like the horrors that he's witnessing on the island, saying that if he tries to defy the celestial dragons and if he actually tries to save somebody, they'll end up killing all of his platoon. And we also cut back to like his platoon back at the Navy ship, and one of them is pretty annoyed that Dragon is still on the island, rather that he's missing, and like speculating that he might still be on the island. And I've seen a theory here or there that this could potentially be Sakazuki, but like I kind of like that idea that this is where this could possibly be where Sakazuki's like whole absolute justice philosophy came from. Next, we see Dragon. He sees off in the distance Ivankov giving his rousing speech to the rest of the slaves to we have to get off God Valley together. We need to hold out hope. And he's like generally delighted to see that some of these slaves still have hope. But he also notices a celestial dragon about to snipe Ivankov. So he uses one of his tranquilizer rounds and puts him to sleep. Suddenly, amongst all of this, we get word that the Rocks Pirates have made landfall. And this is like the other pretty interesting part of the chapter that I wanted to go into. So first off, we get an amazing panel of all of the Rocks Pirates just like as a unit. Just like we see the money shot right there, Rocks with his crew in the back. And then we get little bits of dialogue between everybody. But I'd like to also just like compare this to the conversation that they had as they were pulling up to God Valley. In the timeline of events that happens, Ivankov giving his little speech, Dragon somewhere in the corner sniping or like putting down the celestial dragon that was about to take them out. We cut to the Rocks Pirates making landfall. The same announcements being made. Off to the East Coast, it's the Rocks Pirates. Over here, what is this guy saying? To the east of the island, it's the Rocks Pirates. Not just them, all kinds of pirate crew are pulling up, which is basically the exact same dialogue that's happening here. Now, in 1096, we have a bit of dialogue from Rox saying, "Give up, you lousy Marines, follow my lead, crew." Which, in this chapter, Rox does say that later on. But first, he has to give this little speech between his crew. Pretty much all of them, the conversation's more or less focused on Shaki. And, they also mention the treasure and the devil fruits that are on the island. But most of them, they're worried about Shaki. And so, right after this, so they have this whole exchange in chapter 1160. And then following this exchange, they have this exchange in chapter 1096. So I just wanted to show you the conversations, they do make sense. And now that we have a little bit of context. So we'll start off with Whitebeard's dialogue. Right now in chapter 1060, Whitebeard, he is also, going along with the crews hey, I'm also trying to save Shaki here. And, if she falls for me, I wouldn't mind that either. But he's very much suit yourselves. I'm here to save a friend. I have one goal in mind. And then after that, Whitebeard, as we now know back in 1096, says, "Don't rush ahead, Rox. And since when did I let you give an order? Since when did I let an idiot like you give me orders? That moron Rox is bound to lose sight of our main goal. We've got to confirm it's here first." First bit of a interesting dialogue. So Whitebeard, he's talking about Shaki. He's trying to get with Shaki. Hopefully that's his main goal, his Shaki. And he's claiming, Rox is there for a different reason, and we've got to confirm that it's here first. The it being probably Shaki. Oda obviously was probably being vague back then, but now we know. We've got to confirm Shaki's here, right? Next, we'll have Stussy. Stussy over here, she is, classic simping over Whitebeard. And she's being how could you say that, Newgate, right after Whitebeard, proclaimed that he's in it for Shaki. And then, a little bit later, we have Stussy saying, "Not you too, Newgate," in response to him, just rushing ahead onto the island, being dead set focused on the goal of saving Shaki. Kind of lines up, kind of. Next, we have Gloriosa in 1060. Now, Gloriosa is saying, if I were to save Shaki, then maybe Roger will be grateful to me and maybe be with me, possibly. Then we have Rox's Follow Me crew. And then we have Gloriosa's dialogue here saying, "Back off, Stussy. You're only making a fool of yourself," in response to Stussy's, simping over Whitebeard. And which Stussy responds, "That's rich coming from you, Gloriosa." So think about it. So Stussy was just spending a whole minute simping over Whitebeard as per usual. Gloriosa, it also was just maybe if I save Shaki, Roger will start simping for me. So both of them are being simps right now. I guess Gloriosa just happened to notice a tiny bit more simping on Stussy's side, and she's like, "All right, Stussy, you're not gonna get with Whitebeard. Relax." Next, we go to Strusen. He's the one that pointed out that Ochoku stayed behind on the island, and that likely Shaki's gonna ban him from the bar. Now we have, more evidence that Ochoku is likely this mole, because he stayed behind on the island while the Rox pirates are about to be disbanded and Rox is about to be killed. So we can pretty much assume that, this is how he ended up being the leader of Hachinosu. This is how he somehow sold out the Rox pirates or whatever. But moving on to Shiki. Now, this chapter, Shiki is claiming that Shaki's going to fall in love with whoever saves her first, obviously. Cut to a little bit later, back in 1096. What does Shiki say? "Finders keepers, that sound good to the rest of you? Who died and put you in charge?" In response to Whitebeard, "I'm going to blow you all out of the way." So his dialogue also kind of lines up. It's the, Shaki will fall for whoever finds her first, and, finders keepers. Then we go to Captain John, who, I gotta say, Captain John is just constantly aura farming, man. It's when is he not just laughing and just with a bottle of whiskey and just casually yeah, whatever, we'll do. I guess I'm here. But he claims in 1160 that Shaki's gonna fall in love with whoever gets the most treasure. 1096, he's saying, ha ha ha, my precious treasure. So he's still very much treasure focused, which, yeah, that lines up. And now we get to two of the more interesting conversations. We have first Big Mom, who in 1160, you fools, the entire world could turn upside down and Shaki never would pay attention to you. So Big Mom is very clearly seeing all the men on the crew just turning into simps when knowing full well that Shaki's not going to get with any one of them. So we cut back to 1096, still a few minutes later, after she's done talking about, Shaki not paying attention to you. What does she say? It'll be all mine. I'll snatch it out from under your pathetic noses. You all have your heads in the clouds. I'll be gone before you know it. So she's talking about, obviously, the devil fruit that she's there after, which she's there to, get for her kids. Because at this point, she has her devil fruit. She has, she pulls up with, was that Prometheus? Yeah, Prometheus with the fireball thing on her hand. So she has her devil fruit. But she also, mentions that you all have your heads in the clouds. I'll be able to snatch it out and get out of here while y'all are worrying about Shaki. So another conversation that lines up. And now we finally get to one of the more frustrating parts of this chapter, because we need to talk about Kaido, man. Mr. Hockey transcends all. I swear to God, if he talks about devil fruits one more time, bro, we get it. You want a devil fruit, you'll get your fucking devil fruit. You can shut up about the goddamn devil fruits, Kaido. Mr. Hockey transcends all. 1160. What is Kaido's only freaking dialogue this chapter? Are you really gonna give me a devil fruit, Lin Lin? Bro, everybody here is here for Shaki or treasure, but this man is dead core focused on devil fruits. A couple minutes after this conversation, in chapter 1096, Big Mom, she exclaims, it'll be all mine, again referring to the devil fruits. Kaido, it would be pointless in your hands, Lin Lin. Kaido can't even fathom the fact that Big Mom is going after a devil fruit, which that really seems to piss him off. He also mentions, oh, it looks like Roger is on his way here, which Big Mom's hey, one thing at a time. But Kaido, we know that you don't give a shit about Roger. We know you're here for a devil fruit. And when you finally get a devil fruit, you can finally shut the fuck up about getting a devil fruit. Mister, I have one of the most insanely broken devil fruits in the series, but apparently that's not enough, because the second you come in contact with sun god Nika, you're oh, actually devil fruits ain't shit. Really, it's hockey that matters. Kaido stocks are just plummeting, man. But anyway, now that I'm done, ranting about Kaido. So yeah, after this, we see more world nobles, as they continue the competition. They're also getting alerted now and freaked out that the pirates have showed up on the island, and they're yo, Marines, what the fuck are y'all doing? If any of us get hurt, we will hang all of you. Meanwhile, Dragon is still dashing away with both Shanks and Shamrock at this point. And then we see the Roger pirates pull up. And while there isn't a whole lot of dialogue connection back from 1096 to now, we see a couple parallels. So back in 1096, Roger claims that he was feeling some type of way for the past year. And we know that to be true now, because a year ago is when Shaki got stolen. And for the past year, the Roger pirates did not know anything about it. And he might have antagonized Rox even more. Actually, sorry, we know he antagonized Rox even more for letting Shaki get stolen. So he's definitely got a score to settle, but he's also, obviously there to save Shaki. And we get a little bit of a funny interaction with the crew where basically, Roger, he'd say, I'm going to be the one to save Shaki. Y'all don't have a shot, so you might as well just focus on the treasure, which they all just take personally and immediately trample Roger, which I thought was a pretty hilarious moment that feels very reminiscent of the Straw Hats dynamic, where yeah, obviously they respect Luffy as their captain, but they still think he's a fucking idiot, and he is. Now, Rayleigh and Scopper don't really say anything in this chapter, but it's interesting to note that before they made landfall back in 1096, Rayleigh, he seemed pretty concerned that, oh man, this looks like a rough scene right here. And Scopper, he's basically telling Roger to not play his captain card, to call dibs this time. And so that's probably alluding to the fact that, Roger, he wants Shocky, and he's going to use that captain card to call dibs on Shocky. So it's interesting that, it all lines up. It all goes back to Shocky, man. But also, a little fun thing that Oda decided to draw into this panel is that if we see in the back behind Roger, we see Douglas Bullitt, who was the villain of One Piece Stampede, one of my favorite One Piece movies. Because, dude, I still remember seeing that movie in theaters for the first time. And, I don't know if y'all have, watched Avengers Endgame, for the first time in theaters. It was that, times 10. Every new cameo, coming in, the whole theater would go fucking wild. And understandably so. Anyway, yeah, Roger gets trampled by his crew. The Gods Knights get alerted that, Garling, he's pretty upset that, I guess we have to stop the game now. All right, Gods Knights, let's get together. And we see the money shot of the Gods Knights. And we see the three that, we were introduced to back in 1096, Garling, this dark-haired woman, and this guy with the bull mask. But then we also have confirmation now that this other member of the Manmayer family is also a God's Knight. So that's two God's Knights that are from the Manmayer, this person and Gunko. We see Summers, which now we know is a God's Knight, but we now have him confirmed that he was there in the competition, obviously. And then we have two new members that just, they look like demons, man. The one on the left woman, she seems like demon kind of thing, and she kind of looks a lot like Speed from Kaido's crew, with the black hair on the one side and the white hair on the other side. And also she kind of reminds me of Killingham, because with the sharp teeth. So I'm wondering, is this maybe a member of the Rima Shifu family? But looking right next to her, ancient, I don't want to say ancient giant, but it very well could be. But it looks like some sort of Yeti figure, kind of the Where the Wild Things Are monsters are. And we also see they have wings too. And I'm not entirely sure, his wings and some sort of ring, I think, going around him. I'm very curious as what this creature is, but obviously we're not going to know that for now because we have to cut away. We see, pirates, they're running amok on the island now. But then who pulls up? The boy, Monkey D. Garp. And what does he pull up with? He pulls up with his meteor fist. He takes a cannonball, he launches it faster than an actual cannon would, and he blows a bunch of those pirates away. And you could clearly see Roger sweating and Rox at least concerned that Garp is there now. And, we see Garp pull up, and all I'm going to say, Bogard upscale, man. Bogard is there ready to rock. Bogard, it was called when Sengoku is just sitting with his goat or whatever back at Marine HQ. I cannot wait to see Bogard just start slicing and dicing up members of the Roger Pirates, or at least defending himself against Whitebeard or some shit. But yeah, I'm excited because this is really a Bogard piece if you think about it. But yeah, and then the chapter just ends there. So we have all of the major players gathered now. So it'll be interesting to see how exactly Garp gets this Hero of the Marine title and why exactly he hates talking about it. Also, we'll be able to see is this what radicalized Dragon to quitting the Marines? So yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes. But let's take a look at some tweets. So this is the first tweet here that I completely agree with. Toei, what are you doing, man? We're very clearly seeing now that, you know, Garling is the one with the blonde hair. This person has darker hair, and yet, fuck it, let's make her blonde. Like, come on, Toei. And then, you know, this one, I have to give credit where it's due. Dragon saved Shanks, who in turn saved Luffy, saved Ivankov, who in turn saved Luffy, and saved Kuma, who in turn saved Luffy. His whole Winds of Fate thing, you know, it has some merit to it. You know, it would still be nice if Dragon started doing something sometime soon, you know, especially since the Gods Knights have mobilized for at least 100 chapters now. We're at least starting to see some stuff about Dragon, so I'll take it. I'll give this one like a nice 12 out of 10 chapter. Honestly, the Kaido thing is still kind of annoying me, but hopefully we'll start actually getting into like the nitty gritty of God Valley. We'll start seeing the Conqueror's Hockey pulled out. We'll start to see how or why Summers is so scared of Scopper. And we're gonna see how Rayleigh bagged Shocky. So yeah, I'm excited. But yeah, till next time.